Welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist.
1 Minute Apologist.
If you had 1 minute
Apologia.
to be able to unpack for the audience,
We interview the world's leading apologists to provide credible answers to curious questions.
it's good to have Dr. Mike Licona on the 1 Minute Apologist again. Good to see you, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Bobby. Good to be back.
I want to ask you a question about doubts. I know that you went through a valley in your life where you felt some doubts about the Christian faith. My question that I want to ask you is, how does a Christian, when they go through a season of doubt, how do they navigate that? And what would you say to that question?
Well, some of these things I learned from Gary Habermas, a longtime friend and mentor of mine who has written on the subject. But, you have to kind of feel your way through the valley yourself. And one of the things that was very helpful to me was to recognize that some of us are just wired in such a way that we tend to doubt. And we'll doubt not just our faith, but everything. Like, did we buy the right cologne? Did we get the right car? Did I marry the right person? And these things just plague us and keep us awake at night. Things like, we made good choices and things like that, but we're always just second guessing. The second thing that I would point out is that not only would these things be common to some of us, just the way we're wired, but there were biblical characters who were wired in the same way. For example, Abraham. Here you have Abraham, who God speaks to him according to Genesis. He speaks to him audibly, shows up, says, hey, I'm going to make a nation out of you. All right, and in spite of that, when we come to Genesis 12 and Genesis 20, we find Abraham lying to protect his hide. Now, if you really believe God, why would you have to lie? And yet, Abraham would later become pretty much the MVP in the Faith Hall of Fame of Hebrews 11. Come to the New Testament, you've got John the Baptist. He's known about Jesus' virgin birth because they're related in different ways. Their mothers were, and he baptizes Jesus. He hears the voice from heaven. He sees the dove descend on Jesus. And all of this stuff, behold, the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world,
Right.
And yet, when he's in prison, he sends two of his disciples to Jesus and says, hey, are you the one, or are we to expect someone else? He's doubting. And then Jesus would later say, hey, when you guys came to hear John, did you come to see a reed blown back and forth by the wind? He knew John was doubting. But yet, in the same breath, he could turn around and say, no greater man has been born of woman than John the Baptist. The third thing I'd point out is that it's really important for us to focus when we're doubting on the things we can know. There are certain things that are always going to remain a mystery, unanswered questions, things that we read in the Bible that kind of trouble us a little bit. Like, for example, the election and free will thing. How are we going to figure that thing out? Will we ever figure it out? Probably not. But the thing for us to focus on are the things we do know. We can know historically that Jesus existed, that he performed deeds that he and his followers regarded as divine miracles and exorcisms, that he was crucified by Pontius Pilate. And I think, as you know, I've argued, I think that we can know with historical certainty that Jesus rose from the dead and appeared to others. When we focus on the things that we do know, then the things that we can't know, we can put them in their place and say, well, yeah, they're important to us, but they don't do anything to discredit the Christian faith. By remembering those three things can help us significantly in getting through our periods of doubt.
Thanks, Mike.